Hello folks, Luther Landro here. In this video, we're going to cover how to put together a video sales letter. First thing we're going to talk about is how to format our video in PowerPoint, how to set up the slides, how to get the right sizes. Then we're going to talk about recording the audio with Camtasia's voice narration feature. Then we'll talk a little bit about how to produce the video in Camtasia, how to edit that, and then how to host and edit the landing pages. So now, since we're using PowerPoint, there are a few things we need to set before we can make any videos. Now, we don't want our videos to be 4:3. We want them to have a 16:9 widescreen ratio, and that is very easy to set. You go over to Design, and you select Slide Size, and select the widescreen 16:9 size. You could also go into the Custom Slide Size, set the orientation to Landscape, and just make sure your size is 13:3 and 17:5. And then hit OK. Just like you see in this video, you want a white background with black text. No reverse type. Don't use a black background and white text. Just is not going to work for what we want to do with our video sales letter. We also want to have an absolute center justification. And what I mean by that is you want your text center in the screen and also center from the top to bottom. So you want it right in the middle. And I'll show you an example of that when we do our recording test. And then also there's a template inside of this package that is already centered and ready to go for you. Just all you have to do is put in your sales copy. Now, we don't want to set any slide animations or transitions or text animations. None of that. Don't include any of that. It never helps. And when you're recording with Camtasia, you usually don't get a high enough frame rate in order for those transitions and animations to occur smoothly, so it ends up taking away from your video. Another thing you're going to want to do is change the slideshow resolution. So you go to Slideshow at the top, set up Slideshow, and then down here you'll have resolution 1280 by 720. You want your slideshow to present in that resolution because that is the resolution that you're recording on. If this isn't set, the video is going to look weird. Now, there's a few pieces of equipment that I use, and you can acquire most of this stuff for under 150 bucks. But they are a portable sound booth, which you can actually make with some egg crate and a box and some glue. And all you're looking to do is just get the microphone in between that egg crate. And what that will help do is cut down any reverb that goes on in the room. If you have a big room, this is an absolute essential piece of equipment, because it's going to dampen the sound enough so you don't get this bouncing of your voice off the opposite end of the walls. The second piece of equipment is the Blue Yeti microphone. It's probably the cheapest high-end microphone that you can buy, although I'm sure there are others. But this is the one I've been using for quite some time now, and it is an absolutely gorgeous mic. Highly recommended. And again, you can find those for about 130 bucks out online. It's also USB, so it just plugs right in there and is just ready to go, is easily recognized by your software. And the last piece of equipment is a pop filter. And what that does is whenever I say something with the letter P in it, it prevents the popping of the microphone. So what happens is when you say P, or you start getting a little bit into what you're saying, you start pushing more air out of your mouth. And when that's picked up by the microphone, you'll get that puff, that poof, that little breath of fresh air, but is very, very distracting, and people generally don't like hearing it. A layman's setup for this, I mean, this isn't really a professional setup, although it gets the job done. You could do, like I said, make a little egg crate, a little box with some egg crate on the back of it, some foam, put the microphone inside of the box, and then talk into the box. And then for a pop filter, you could get a piece of cheesecloth or a towel or something and put it over, hanging over the microphone, but not touching it. This way, all that's going through is your voice and not any puffs of air. So next, we want to talk a little bit about Camtasia. We'll give you a quick walkthrough. The areas that you're concerned with are the clip bin. This is where all your video clips and your images will go. Audio, which is once we add audio to this project, we'll be able to edit it and also reduce any noise and whatnot. Voice narration. This is where we are actually going to record our voice. So we're not going to, read the PowerPoint as we're doing the sales letter. We're going to read our sales script in a natural conversational tone, and then we're going to match that audio to our slides. And this is where we're going to grab that audio. We're going to do that first. That's really kind of after you've written the sales script. This is the next step. Down here is your timeline. This is where you'll arrange the audio track and your slides. And you'll see that once we output the example document, you'll see how I arrange the slides and the audio. This is your zoom, undo and redo, cut, split. You won't always need this, but when you start working on larger videos, it sometimes can be helpful to just slice an image or a video in the middle and then, add stuff or take away. It could save your life at some point, but it could also be a pain in the neck to work with. And up here, you can record your screen. This will start the record option. Now, since I'm already recording, I'm not going to be able to show you that, but I'll take a screenshot and demonstrate that for you. And then import media. This is where you'll take in any files, the audio files, the images, and any other images you have for illustrative purposes. You're going to import them into the click bin using this option. And when everything's finished, we produce our video, and then we'll have an MP4 to upload to YouTube or Wistia or wherever we are hosting our video. So now when we are capturing our audio, we want to make sure we have a great environment. So we want to be free of distractions, and we want to get rid of all the noise. So if you have one of those computers that has a dozen fans on it, you might want to think about lowering the RPMs on those fans. And I'm one of those people. I have so many fans, I actually have to turn a few of them off and then use filtering, and I'll show you how to do that, to remove any noise that's in the background. You also want to make sure you have that pop filter or something to serve as a pop filter to prevent those pops, those puffs in the microphone. Now, as far as clicks, now human beings, when we talk, we make clicks. It actually just kind of happens. We say K, and just sometimes it just happens from us, flapping our gums around. So there is in Camtasia, there's processing that's going to remove some of those clicks, but not always. That's not always the case. And I'll show you a way to get rid of those clicks as well. Generally, if you do make some mistakes, if you got a lot of clicks in there, sometimes software won't be able to help you. You'll have to just re-record the audio. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we will be using Camtasia voice narration to do with any audio capture for us in this video. Now, you can use any number of things. You can use Audacity. I know someone who would use Windows Sound Recorder, and you can use, obviously, Camtasia. And then there's also Adobe Audition, which is a much more powerful audio editing station. But now once we do capture our audio, we want to have a post process, which means we want to do our noise removal, we want to take out any pops or clicks. We want to also, if we have any dead air time, we want to cut that down, remove those, and then remove the extra dead space or silence at the end and the beginning of the video, or of the audio for that matter. And this way we get a nice block of audio to work with. And we, of course, output that to WAV. There's no reason to output or save anything as an MP3. MP3 is a compressed audio format. Since we're going to compress the video in an MP4, we don't want to do any double compression. We don't want to lose any quality, right? So we do a WAV format because that's going to be a lossless format. It's going to provide the best range of frequencies, the best quality audio. Now, for doing screen capture, we're not actually doing any kind of capturing. We're not sitting in front of the video, reading the slides, and then hitting the down button as we go through it. We're going to output all the slides of the PowerPoint presentation into PNG images and align those images to the audio. Now for PowerPoint, it's generally easy as File, Save As Type, and then PNG. And it's going to ask us all slides. We do all slides and we got it. Then it'll say that, okay, it's all set. Now any animations such as fades, because I like to do image fades. I don't do any real animations, and I used to do this. And you probably, if you know me in any of my older videos, I did a lot of this flashy animation stuff. It just doesn't do it. You want to have very limited animations in your video. So we're going to do all that later. We're going to do that in the production process. We're not going to be adding any images inside of the actual PowerPoint when we output. Now, there may come a time if you're doing any kind of demonstration, such as a training video or a part of your sales video that requires you to illustrate or demonstrate some live video capture, then you're going to need to know how to do that. Back in Camtasia, when you're ready to record the screen, you have to do a few settings first. When you select record the screen, a dialog box will pop up, and it will give you the option to select the area and record all your inputs. So what we want to do is select a widescreen input for 1280 by 720. That'll be the proper format. And remember, our PowerPoint is also the same size, and when you output those PNG images from the slides, they will all be 1280 by 720. So again, the same size. That's the size we want to go to. That eliminates any sidebars, any misalignments or whatnot for the video. Makes a nice, clean, widescreen video. Next, if you are doing any voice capture while you're doing any kind of demonstration, which you should not be doing, but I can foresee some cases where that may arise, such as, again, doing any kind of demonstration. You want to make sure you set the microphone input and disable record system audio. You don't want this checked. You don't want any music or any beeps and whatnot encroaching on your video quality. And when you're ready to record, you just hit the record button. Now, what's going to happen is as soon as you click that record the screen button, you'll have this little bounding box. This is your stage. And what you want to do is, this stage is 1280 by 720. You want to get your slide right in the middle there. You want to put this in the, you want to get your slide to fit in this perfectly. Now I'm doing a full screen video on this, and I think it's 1680 by 1050. Now, since you have PowerPoint set to 1280 by 720, and you have Camtasia set to 1280 by 720, when you press F5 to do your slideshow, this stage area will be the perfect size and will be perfectly aligned. If it's not, you just grab this little center marker and drag it until it fully sits over your slideshow. Now again, this is only if you're doing any demonstration purposes. This is, and of course, just to get the sizing right. The way we're actually going to do the video, you may not, in some cases, need to do any actual video capture. So here are the steps for production. We're going to do our audio first. Then we're going to output all our slides and add them to the Camtasia project. We're going to align our slides to the audio. And then we're going to add any images or animations. And finally, we're going to output the video in an MP4 format. So we select voice narration. We go to audio setup. And we make sure our audio device, our microphone, is set. And if it's working, you'll start to see some activity here. Your input level will start displaying your voice. Generally, this is too high. 80%, 90% is much too high. You want it somewhere around 40 to 50%. This way you don't peak and create any, you don't overdrive your microphone or your audio. But once that's set, recording source should be microphone. Select next. You could do an auto adjustment if you want, and that'll set the microphone levels based on your voice, but I'm pretty happy at 50-40%. So we'll hit finish, and now it's ready. We see some activity here where we are ready to record. So what I'm going to do is record the presentation template text, because that's what we're going to use for lining up inside of our video. So this is going to sound like me doing a sales video, and that's how I'm going to read it. Okay, so here we go. We click start recording. And now I should be recording. Very good. And there it is. You see it's playing, it's recording for us. All right. This is a text box for a single line. This is a text box for using a double line statement. This is a text box for a triple line statement used for when we have more to say. And this is a text box for a 4-line statement, used for when we have much more to say about a particular topic. And use the bottom third when displaying images. So use the bottom third to display call to action images as well. Okay, You hit stop recording, and I got my little audio there. It's like 45 seconds of audio. And what we want to do now is trim this up a little bit. So as you see in the clip bin, our test audio ended up there. I don't think I said it, but you had to save the audio file before you can use it. And I think the only option is WAV. So once you choose a nice place to save it, it'll appear here. And then it'll also put itself down here in the timeline. And I'm going to change the size here to make this a little easier to work with. What I want to do is find the beginning of the video. There's a couple of keyboard shortcuts that you should know about. Space will start and also stop the playback. Control C will copy. Control X will cut. So you can select an area using this selector and then the green and red bars. And then, you can just press Control X and that'll cut that particular part of the clip. And Control Z to undo in case you make a mistake. And then Control P if you wanted to copy. But we won't be doing any copying of the audio. The human ear and the mind can usually tell when you do any kind of duplication. So if you find yourself with an audio clip and you feel like you need to do any kind of duplication, you may want to consider re-recording the audio or recording a new segment. But what we want to do is just trim this audio down so that we can just start right from the beginning of the text. So here's the start of where I actually read the script. So what we'll do is we'll grab the green bar here, we'll get rid of all the other stuff. We'll press Control X or even the delete key, and that'll get rid of that particular useless audio. We can also press Control X, and what that will do is actually trim the audio clip rather than just delete the audio from the clip itself. And what we also want to do is we want to go in and clean up some of the spacing. Now this takes a little bit of practice to get right, particularly when you have long pauses. You want to be able to speak naturally in a good tone without any awkward pauses or too quick of a pause. You want to be able to have it nice and smooth, have every sentence and every word flow into each other. Now, don't get me wrong, there are places for strategic pauses, and we talk a little bit about that in the training for the advertising course. But I did put a lot of time in between these, so what I'm going to do is just really quick, just go through, cut them down a little bit. Generally a second, 800 milliseconds, 1,000 milliseconds, or 1 second will be good enough. And then let's see, looking pretty good. Give the whole thing a listen. Okay, very good. I'm happy with the audio. It's a real quick, short little demonstration. It's only about 30 seconds. Okay, so now what we want to do is go back to PowerPoint and grab our slides. So if you remember before, I showed you, I outputted all the slides as PNGs. So let's go and get them and line them up. Now to make this a little easier on us, we'll make this full screen. And I'll go through and let's find them here. And there's 6 slides. We'll drag them in here into the clip bin. So now we have slides 1 through 6. Let's get this a little bigger. And then what we'll do is we'll start adding slides. Now we want to use our recorded dimensions for everything we do here. So just get them all in there, and you can even select all of them and drop them all in. It'll line them up for you. So now you see they're just about all lined up already. We just have to match it. So what we go through is we listen to it, and then we find out, okay, it ends right here. Now what I like to do is start the next slide when I start speaking again. So I'll grab it. I'll grab the first clip or the first image and match it to right before where I start to talk again. Then I'll grab the next clip, slide it back, and I'll just repeat the process. Now, sometimes you have to get a little creative and move images around because it's a little touchy. But when that happens, just zoom in a lot. Get your marker where you want it, drag that slide over, and then drag the next one back. And just keep doing this for all the images or slides that you have. So let's see, I talk right here. So we'll bring this forward and we'll bring this to this line here. Okay, so then actually this seems like it's off a little bit, doesn't it? What did I do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this one's got to come over. So now I have all my images aligned with the audio, and we want to also make sure our audio ends when our video ends. This way we don't get any of this black screen. So what we want to do is zoom in all the way to the back just to make sure that we don't have anything. We can also do a little overrun if we want. Now that that's all set up, we want to go through audio and select enable noise removal for the audio track. And what this will do is clean up the audio and remove any noise. Now I got a pretty clean environment back here, so this is not going to remove that much noise simply because there isn't much noise to be picked up. But all you do is click it and it just removes any hums or hisses, which is on like 90% of the videos out there, and it's very distracting. So always make sure you run some kind of noise level removal, and this will go through and remove some clicks and that hum and the hiss and whatnot. So now once we have our clean audio and we have our slides lined up with our audio, we're ready to produce this video. So what you do is you select produce and share, select the MP4 option at 720p, and you should see dimensions 1280 by 720. Select next, and then select the name of the file, and this one will do example video.mp4, and then browse to where you want to save it on the computer. I like to keep everything in one simple single place, so be sure to stay organized. Once that's finished, it's ready to go. You just click finish, and then it'll start rendering the video. And there you go. Depending on the speed of your computer, it could take an hour, it could take 20 minutes. Generally, if your sales videos are coming in around 20 minutes, it's going to take about 40 minutes or so for a slower or lower end computer to render, and generally a lot shorter for a higher end multi-core with a lot of memory, one of those computers. You know, maybe 10 minutes to render a half-hour video or something like that. It has gotten better. I remember doing video years ago, and it used to take, half a day. But we don't need to do that anymore. Click finish once that's done, and then go and browse and get your video. Okay, so our video is rendered. I do see that I have some artifacts here, and I think this is an outline around that text box. So I'm going to remove that because we don't want that. We want a nice, clean text on white background. But this is working. And everything's in there, and it's all tied in. And it should transition. Yeah, perfect. All right, so the new slide is introduced as you start talking about that slide, not before or not after. You want the timing to be perfect. You want it to be very smooth. But now that this is done, we could talk about uploading it. Now before we do, and I probably should have said to do this earlier, but you want to make sure you save your Camtasia project, and you want to do so frequently. So generally I do like to start that. I want to save a project before I begin working on it, and then just save it every couple of minutes afterwards, just to be safe. Because you never know, Murphy's Law, computers crash, you could end up losing a lot of work. And to do that, just file, save project as. What I do is I save the file, the project file, in the exact same name as the video itself. So in this one is example video.camproject, and the video is example video.mp4. So now you remember I had that blue outline. So these kind of artifacts, when you're working with video, sometimes they just creep in. So what I had to do was go through PowerPoint, change the outline. So now you see I have no outline on my text box. I just resave it, export all the slides, and then I'll go ahead and bring all those slides back in and then realign them. So I've realigned them, and we're just going to produce it again. Remember, MP4, 720, 1280 by 720. I should already have the same path, and I'm going to do example video 2, just because we messed up on the first one. Finish it, and then it renders. Okay, all finished. And now we will move on to hosting. So we can go ahead and save this project and close Camtasia. Okay, so the first place we'll generally host it would be YouTube. It's a good place to get free video hosting, and also you can get some organic traffic as well. At the same time, it doesn't give you the same amount of control as, let's say, Wistia, but I'll show you that as well. But just for YouTube and for demonstration purposes, we'll go ahead and we'll bring in our browser. We'll select upload, and then we'll go ahead and select the file that we want to upload. For this, we're going to make it private, just because there's no reason to have this example video floating around everywhere. So we'll go ahead and make this unlisted. I said we'll make it unlisted. There we go. And it's just an example video. And you're bringing this video in on the sales page. It's really not doing anything else. But if you want, you can go ahead and put your URL here. The URL to your website or even to your sales page. But it's unlisted, so no one's really going to see it. Okay, well, we uploaded our video, and you know what? It's a 30-second video, so it processed really quickly, and here it is. It just goes through here, and you see no boxes or nothing. It looks great, right? So what we want to do is we want to embed this. So you go to Share, Embed, and you grab the embed code, which is this frame right here. So you just select the box, press Control-A for all, and then Control-C to copy it. Since we're doing this as a sales video, and we're also doing it on a page, what you want to do is disable the suggested videos, turn off the player controls. We kind of want the video to just be available, although you can experiment with leaving them on. And this is another reason why I like Wistia over YouTube hosting. You have a lot more control over what the user can do and what the experience is. But you can also show title and player actions. Again, you're going to experiment with it, but generally you don't need any of this stuff. Now there's another thing you can do. Just grab the actual short link here. Copy that as well. And what I like to do is create a little text document that contains all the things I'm going to be linking to. Just in case things get a little hairy, I want to have all my information in one place. Okay, so let's put this off to the side. We just made some notes. Now here's the landing page template with an embedded video. It also has a drop-down script. I think it's set to 5 seconds right now, so it's a little script we wrote. We'll automatically drop that button down at the call to action point that we talk about in the sales training. Now editing this landing page, really, really simple. Now we need a text editor. I'm using Sublime Text, as you can see here, but you can use a free one called Notepad++. So why don't we go ahead and use that one. Now all you do is right click and edit with Notepad++. Okay, we'll bring that in here. And then what I'll do is I'll just arrange this so that I can read this from here. And then what we do is get our video linked here. Here's the YouTube link. And here's our width and height. 560 by 315 is how we want this video to scale. We still want to have a 1280 by 720 source video. So nothing changes there. We're just changing the frame height and width. So what we do is go ahead and grab the embed version of our video. And it's really all you need is the video ID, which is this string of characters here at the end. So here's our video ID. Grab our video ID and drop it in there at the end of the embed. And there it is. Now this is where you would add your buy link. So if you're selling to JVZoo, this is where you would put that direct link to the secure checkout page. If you were doing it through PayPal, this is where your PayPal link would go. Now your image This is what's going to actually drop. We included a few images in the graphics pack, but in the image folder of this landing page is the add to cart.png. This is the image that will drop down and link to whatever shopping cart you are using. Now, it's very important, don't just replace these comments. That's not going to help. Those are comments just there to point you in the right direction. The actual things that you need to change are in between the comments. The iframe for the video sharing source, and the buy link and add to cart button. Then, of course, you want to change your footer, your company ID or URL. You want to put in your support link, your terms of service link, any privacy policy. You want to link all that in the footer. And then lastly, you want to make sure you set the time that the button drops correctly. Now, we wrote this little script here, so it'd be easy for you just to enter in the point in the video that you want that button in script, that you want that button to display. We made it a little easy for you here to display that button at exactly the point you want. All you do is put in the minute and the second that you want that button to drop. And that usually occurs when, you have that down arrow. When that down arrow first appears, when you have the price drop, that's when you want the buy button to appear. So now in our video, the arrow appears at 26 seconds, or that's when we want our button to drop. So what we do is we plug in 26 seconds. So now once we have our time set, we have our links programmed in, we have our button chosen, we have our buy link plugged in, and then we also have our video link plugged in. And of course, we've changed our headline to express our benefits. And if you want to edit the title, feel free, go right ahead. But this is it. You hit save, and that landing page is now set up. Now, all you have to do now is upload it to your web host. So now I'm using a free FTP client, and I've created a demo folder, and I've called it test 1. And what I want to do is, now that I've saved all that, I want to grab the images folder, my index.html file, and my CSS, and upload it up to my remote server. And once that's done, we can go ahead and visit this folder, test 1, and it'll display our landing page. And sure enough, there it is. And you start playing, and of course, at 26 seconds, that button's going to drop. Now, unfortunately, because it doesn't have any autoplay feature, it's not going to drop at the right place. So that's where Wistia comes into play, because you can have an autoplay, and the button drop will happen exactly where you want it to happen. And sure enough, there it is. And if we were to click, it would go to example/buy and whatever we were using, PayPal, JVZoo, or whatever. So just to recap, we want to embed the video using the video ID and the embed link and iframe that was supplied on YouTube. We want to add our buy link, so whether to PayPal, JVZoo, Warrior Plus, wherever you're adding it, it's directly to the checkout page. That's the link you're going to use. And then you want to add any of your business links, your privacy policy, your support, your terms of service. You want to upload, once you've edited everything and saved it, you want to upload it to your web host, and then you want to test it to make sure everything works. Lastly, we're just going to talk a little bit about Wistia, because I feel it is the best video platform that we can possibly use. So what we want to do is go over to Wistia, create an account. Now, this is a paid service. You do have to pay for this, but you get a lot of great tools for the money. So it actually, obviously, pays for itself as you have these videos hosted and these sales letters are successful and you're making money. So head over to Wistia, create an account. Once you do, you go to Projects, New Project. We'll name that product. I don't know. Let's call it something. We'll name that project. I don't know. We'll call it a video test. And then we'll upload our video. And that'll take just a minute to upload and process. And of course, depending on the size of your video, this may take a few minutes to 20 minutes to a half an hour or so. And obviously also depending on your internet connection speed. But once it's all processed, click on the video and it'll take you to the video editor. You go to Customize, Appearance, and generally you can use the current frame. Well, let's get it out here. Let's get it someplace. It's cool, right? So we'll take, let's see, use the current frame. Turn off comments. For controls, you want to turn everything off. And you want it to autoplay. And then we don't want any of this stuff. Sometimes we use the call to action at the end of the video. Generally, you don't want to do that just in case you want to use the video in multiple places. But that's fine. You can experiment with that if you'd like. But once that's all set, hit save. And now it's saved and we are ready to embed. So we select embed and here's our code. Now remember the video size that we used? It was 560 by 315. So now we'll copy our code. Now it says it's copied. We'll go back to our index and we'll replace this iframe with the embed code from Wistia. We'll save it. Then we'll upload it. And then we'll go and refresh the page. So now you see the video starts immediately. So now at 26 seconds, when the arrow drops, the button will drop as well. I can't lower the volume or anything because I disabled it. And that's one thing you could add to allow the user to have a little bit more control. But it's only 30 seconds, so we'll let it play through. And there it is. So it actually came in a little quicker. So what we would do is we would go in the script and we would add a couple of seconds of padding to get that button to drop right at the exact moment that we want it to. And that's it, folks. If you have any questions, please contact my support desk. Myself and my team are available on there. whitewavesupport.com. Open a ticket. Let us know what you need help with. And we'll put you in the right direction and fix any problems that you have. I hope you enjoyed this training, and I hope to speak to everyone soon.